guys, this is Zona with Christian Influencer Inspired, and I cannot wait to delve into this video on how can I influence people I have never met, right? So this video is dedicated to personal influence. We have the different subtypes of influence under that section. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you want to make sure that you go back and you look at the video of personal life updates and a burning question. And there are 3 types of influence that are in that video, and make sure you comment below what type of an influencer you are. Today's video is going into subtypes, specifically of personal influence. So we have the 3 types that I already mentioned in the last video, but I also want to end the video on influencing people that you might never meet, and that is the 4th subtype. So type A1, which is personal individual, is affecting people mostly one-on-one. The examples that I gave in the last video are like a spouse, a best friend. One might be somebody that you go and have a coffee date with, personal mentoring, or even a prayer partner. So now I personally meet with a mentor. I specifically sought one out, and this has made a lot of difference in my life. So what she does is she actually helps me deal with some emotional stuff, but for the most part, she helps me identify blind spots. These are areas that I might not necessarily be paying attention to as something that could be holding me back, or a pattern in my life that might be forming that I just might be a little bit too close to, that she'll have a little bit more perspective on and able to help me kind of steer clear from. Now, you might be somebody that has a mentor, or you might be somebody that could be a mentor. And this doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a professional. Everybody needs help covering their blind spots, right? So the second one, subtype, is A2, which is personal small group. Now, these are the people that are affecting mostly people in groups of less than 4. Now, the examples that I had given in the last video were people like people that you have a desk close to, coworkers, or people you live with, your immediate family. Maybe it's a group of roommates that you live with. This could also be like a book club, a development group, or a hobby or an interest group that would still be on the smaller side. Now, again, guys, you want to pay attention to the fact that this type of influence, personal influence, are going to be people that you have some sort of consistent interaction with, unless it's our last subtype. So these are going to be people like I have in the leadership development group that I am in. So I am actually working with a group that does a leadership development, and we're reading through the book Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. Now, this book is definitely one that comes highly recommended, and I cannot remember for the life of me who writes it right now, but I will go ahead and post it in the link in the description below the video, because I want you guys to take a look at this, especially if you're looking at being well-rounded and really making sure that you're paying attention to that emotional health as it relates to your life. And this is one of those keys that you just absolutely need to get your hands on. So another example for me is I actually went to a painting night that was hosted by someone else, but it was really cool being able to go through the exercise of actually stopping, hearing what the Lord had to say about you, and seeing ourselves as God does, and then painting part of it. So I will go ahead and try to add a picture here of the painting that I did, but it really was an excellent group experience, watching each person in their process, but I'll go into that more in a different video. So let me know if there's a hobby or interest group or something that you actually participate in that you had never thought about maybe being a place where you could influence others, but is a place that now you're thinking of. It's on your radar. So let me know what you like to do as your hobby or interest in the comments below. The third subtype is personal extended. Now, this is going to be larger groups, but you're still personally influencing these people. So we're talking about groups of 5 to about 20 people. After you get into 20 people, it's really, really hard to personally influence. So any of you teachers that deal with kids in groups over 20, I applaud you. So these examples that I had given are sports teams, a small group, networking or neighborhood associations, class at the gym, hobby or an interest group like acting. Things are going to take a lot more moving parts than just a small interest group like the painting night, where it really was just the 4 of us, 5 of us, and it was, including myself, sorry, just a really great time of bonding. So one way that I really, really encourage people in this area is to get involved in a small group. And I know some places call them life groups, some places call them e-groups, some places call them small groups, but either way, getting involved, especially including, your family, being involved with another few families together, really begins to set a new dynamic. And I know before I moved, I was involved in a small group Bible study that Tony Evans actually put on, which if you guys have not checked that out, I'll actually post a link to Right Now Media, because I do recommend that Bible study. It's called 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. And we really banded together in this small group to set goals for ourselves, faith goals. Now, these might seem simple, but this is really a no shade kind of place. So these are people that I really, really have loved and respected, and I was so excited to be able to help them, encourage them, and to be encouraged by them to hit the goal that we set. So whether it was memorizing a memory verse, completing the lesson before you get to small group, or even doing faith steps, we celebrated together. This became the thing that we were excited to be able to get to group to share. And each of these lives were impacted more and more as we kind of built on working on these goals together. So this is one of my absolute favorite ways to get involved in a small group. I highly recommend it, and definitely look into something like that in your personal body. Now, our group did go ahead and meet for different semesters. So it was not necessarily year round, but it had, I think, a spring, a summer, and a fall session. And that way you had time off in between, you could take vacation, you didn't feel guilty about that, but it still made sense for where you were at, that you had some people you were coming back to, that they expected to hear from you, and it's just kind of nice to belong somewhere. So I highly recommend a small group if you are not already involved in one. Now, guys, if you are already involved in a small group, go ahead and let me know. What do you guys do in your small group? Are you a life group? Are you a Bible study group? Do you guys go and just pray for each other? What does your actual group kind of look like without delving into any personal information? Obviously, we want to keep intact the sanctity of those types of groups. And I know in ours, we had a very strict confidentiality agreement where we never shared what was shared in our group for any reason. And that was one of the reasons we were able to be so personal and so intimate, because we knew that there was integrity and we knew that there was a covering there, an expectation of, this isn't going to be something I have to hear other people talking about later that I've never shared with. So keep that in mind when you're writing your comments. Now, the last section is the subgroup that I am so excited to share with you. And this has to do with personal indirect influence. So this is going to affect individuals or groups who are known or unknown. And that is your key to influencing people that you might never meet. So some examples are actions, ideas, or prayer, of course, that will impact people who are known or unknown to you. So one of the ways that actions can influence people that you might never meet, it can be as small as leaving a quarter in the cart at Aldi's. So guys, if you have ever gotten to Aldi's, let me know in the comments below if you actually shop at Aldi's or someplace like that where you have to put a quarter in for your cart, because it is terrible to get there and not have a quarter. So leave a quarter in that cart, guys. But it can go all the way up to something that does take a lot of time, a lot of effort, like building a house with Habitat for Humanity, or something that you even do consistently, like serving at a local food bank or a homeless shelter or an animal rescue, or even you guys have all heard the pay it forward ideas. So these are I'll go ahead and put some links down below to some ways that you guys can get involved or find a place to do something like that, if that is something that you are interested in, because I definitely want to make sure that you have every opportunity to take action with your personal indirect influence. Now, the next idea that I had was ideas, and these help spread values or ideas that you find important. Now, that sounds like a big deal. It doesn't have to be as big of a deal, but it can be really, really fun. So one of the ways that you can do this is by volunteering with some place like Big Brothers or Big Sisters. Now, I know when I was in high school, actually on multiple occasions, I was able to volunteer with Big Brothers Big Sisters and to help kids learn how to read, help them overcome challenges that they had in their schoolwork and getting homework done and different things like that. But what it did is it helped instill an idea that someone is going to come alongside them and is going to help them build value in what I find valuable, which is reading, excelling in school, that sort of thing. So another idea would be fostering an animal to help them find a forever home, or dropping books that you are not reading anymore into one of those free libraries. Now, I know the neighborhood that I was just in actually has been erecting these really great public libraries that are nice and covered, and the books are kept dry, but they are constantly looking for new books. So if you have a couple, look for an area where you have some free libraries that you can just drop those books in that will begin to invest in another person's life that you may never meet. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can help share ideas. Everything from voting to dropping off a pamphlet or something like that. But I don't want us to miss the power of this last option. So this is prayer. And prayer can be as simple as stopping to pray for someone who seems distraught on Instagram or Twitter, which tends to be places that people kind of air a little bit more information sometimes than we would hope. All the way up to going to outreaches, praying for people in your area, or even doing missions work. So I'm really excited about that one, and I can't wait. I think I'm going to have a opportunity to do some missions work myself coming up toward the end of the year, so make sure you're watching for that. But because that can seem so overwhelming and our schedules are so crazy busy, I am actually going to challenge you to pray for 3 to 10 seconds. Even this small commitment can make a huge difference. So before you scroll, pray pause and pray. All right. So each of these areas make a huge difference. So let me know in the comments which of these types, the subtypes in the personal influence section, is the most comfortable for you. Because I want to know, where are you guys at? Have you done some of these? Have you been on mission trips? Have you been able to pray for somebody? When you see somebody that's complaining about the same thing that they complain about every single week, do you stop and pray for them? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. So one of the ways I most recently was able to influence people that I had never met before, I had a friend of mine post on social media that his friend was needing somebody to help watch some puppies so they could see some family members that they had not seen for a long time. And guys, I know that it seems crazy, but I was able to go and just spend some amazing time with the cutest little golden doodle puppies. Now there were 12 puppies and 6 adult dogs, but it was an absolute joy. And I really loved it. Now, the crazy thing is what ended up happening in my life because I went to go do this. So before that started, I had been working on a huge undertaking at my job. Now, when you are in ministry and you're in a time crunch and you have just a little bit of a window to get something done, all of these things can seem overwhelming. And I had already spent 2 days on a project that I was absolutely stuck in. And I was like, Lord, I am going to need you to help me figure out a way to get through this. Now, in the midst of that, I went and I was able to volunteer and really help this family out that I get to call new friends now. But at the time, I really hadn't met them. I didn't know them before. And it was an absolute joy. Now, the funny thing is while I was in the middle of holding these amazing little puppies, the idea came to me of where I was stuck on my project. So I was able to get unstuck in my project, and it would be more productive when I went back to work after I took the time to really get my mind focused on somebody else and doing something that didn't have any relation to my problem at work at all, and I was able to get unstuck. So I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to see some of the gorgeous puppies, and one of the very biggest highlights was the last day that I was there, one of the puppies opened their eyes for the first time. So I am so in love with these guys. They're amazing. Very, very well cared for and super loved. But I was just excited to be able to be a small piece of their story and to let you guys know that there is so much reward when you take the time to influence people that you really might not ever know or would be out of your normal day-to-day routine. So guys, let me know in the comments if you have ever done something like that, or you've had any experience with the influence that can come through these 4 personal subtypes. Either way, I love you guys. I'm so excited to see you, and we'll be putting out our next video next week, so make sure you're looking for that too.